Phew. Almost done. Just one last thing to do, assemble a portfolio. But before we get down to the nitty-gritty of that, I'm curious. In the module welcome message on the home pages, we promised you a crazy module. In fact, we warned you that if by the end of this module you have not wondered whether you are registered for the wrong degree, wondered whether your lecturers have lost their marbles, wondered whether you have lost your marbles, had to go for a walk to clear your mind, wondered what the point of all this stuff is, or wondered what the point of everything is, well then you need to check that you have a pulse. So, did you? Did you wonder whether you were registered for the wrong degree? Wonder whether your lecturers had lost their marbles? Wonder whether you had lost your marbles? Have to go for a walk to clear your mind? Wonder what the point of all this stuff was? Or wonder what the point of everything was? Hope so. Okay, let's get on with the final activity.
The aim of this portfolio is for you to reflect, in a reasonably organized fashion, on the things that you have thought about throughout this crazy module. Download the portfolio template from a bit further down in this section.
Fill in the template as per the instructions in it. In addition to the instructions on the template, you should understand that ultimately, we are really looking to see that you have critically thought about your original choices in the multiple choice assignment with the benefit of all of the stuff you have read, both the theory and any discussions. Now obviously all of this reading might have done three things. Put you to sleep. It will really help us improve the module if you explain this to us. Confirmed your original views. In this case we are looking for notes which indicate how certain of the theory or discussions have reinforced your original views. Changed your original views. In this case we are looking for notes which explain how theory or discussions have forced you to rethink your worldview. In all cases be specific, which theories, which discussions. If we don't see references to theory and other discussions, it is highly unlikely that you will get more than 60% for this assessment. Besides these things, you might also have comments on the questions or options themselves. In terms of all these notes, we are really not looking for a note on every single one of the questions unless your world has really totally shifted. We would rather have a good quality note on a handful, at least 10, than a rubbish note, e.g., I changed my mind, on all 20. Finally, please don't forget to do a good conclusion. A good conclusion will really make a huge difference to your mark.
Submit your completed template to the link below.
Missing the deadline for this is like missing an exam. Do not expect any extensions. If you get less than 40% for this, your year mark will not count. You must use the correct template. If you use an old one or one from another group you will get 0%. Please make sure that you have actually submitted to your assessment. Take a screen grab of the screen after you have submitted and keep this on file. Please double check that you have not submitted a blank template.
If you are concerned about any aspect of your submission, feel free to send a backup copy to the SUS1501@unisa.ac.ca email before the deadline. Next, we jump to portfolio template reading.
Declaration.
By submitting this portfolio, I implicitly declare that this is my own work except for the introduction, which was kindly written for me by my lecturer. I am aware that if ANY unacknowledged copying is detected in ANY answer, I will get 0, 0, for the entire assignment.
Instructions. Please read the instructions on MyUnisa carefully. Please download the most up-to-date version of this template from your group site on MyUnisa. Go through the MCQs again, and record your current choice in the template. We suggest that you don't look at your original choices before you have been through all questions. For each question, record your original choice in Assignment 1. Write a note of at least 100 words for each of the five questions that are written in red. Write a note of at least 100 words each for any other five questions of your choice. Write your conclusion of at least 500 words. Somewhere within your notes and/or conclusion there must be meaningful references to the major theories that we covered: deontology, consequentialism, distributive justice, virtue ethics, and environmental ethics. Your notes and conclusion should also make reference to discussions with fellow students that you found meaningful. Save the file as a Word document with a short name. MyUnisa will reject files with long names. Submit this file into the Assignments tool on MyUnisa. Take a screen grab of the final submission acknowledgement on MyUnisa and save this somewhere safe in case of any disputes. Check under the Assignments tool that there is a date in the process cell for the SUS1501 portfolio. Minimum requirements checklist, i.e., if you do not fulfill all of these you will not pass this portfolio. Correct template version used. All 20 multiple choice question original answers captured. All 20 multiple choice question answers now captured. Notes for the five questions in red. Notes for at least five other questions of your choice. Each note at least 100 words long. Conclusion present. Conclusion at least 500 words long. Introduction. My aim in compiling this portfolio was to reflect on the things that have struck me throughout this crazy module. My starting point for doing this was to revisit my opinions to the multiple choice questions which were presented in the Crossroads assignment. I present these current opinions, together with my original opinions, and some brief notes in the section entitled, Back at the Crossroads. Once I have done this, I draw some key conclusions about this crazy module and about the things that did indeed strike me. Back at the crossroads. You must write notes on this question: why do some people have to be miserably poor in order that others can be extravagantly rich? I speak for all the children in the world who don't even have a piece of bread. Fidel Castro. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by: who cares what Castro said? He was an ideological dinosaur anyway. Wealth and poverty are unrelated phenomena. Well, perhaps the rich should just stop all their charity, and we'll see where this leaves the ungrateful poor. Well, on a simple technical level, the answer to this is poverty and wealth are both relative, so it's just not possible for there to be someone rich without someone who is relatively poor. I think this is the wrong question. The right question is, how do we prevent people being extravagantly rich while others are miserably poor? Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. You must write notes on this question. Save the rhino. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by: who cares? Let the people who want to use this resource pay to protect it. We have bigger problems than worrying about rhinos. We must save the rhinos for our children. We must save the rhinos because it is the right thing to do. Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. You must write notes on this question. If the present growth trends in world population, industrialization, pollution, food production, and resource depletion continue unchanged, the limits to growth on this planet will be reached sometime within the next 100 years. The most probable result will be a rather sudden and uncontrollable decline in both population and industrial capacity. The limits to growth, 1972. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by: I don't believe this tale of doom. Yes, we are consuming natural resources too fast, but I don't think this is a problem, as there is plenty of time to find technological solutions to problems that emerge. Yes, we are consuming natural resources too fast. The first priority in solving this is to put the brakes on human population growth. Yes, we are consuming natural resources too fast. The first priority in solving this is for rich people to reduce their consumption significantly. Yes, we are consuming natural resources too fast. The first priority is for poor people to not have more kids than they can afford. Yes, we are consuming natural resources too fast. And frankly, I don't see any solution, because increasing consumption is the basis of our economic growth. Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. You must write notes on this question. Investment under neocolonialism increases rather than decreases the gap between rich and poor countries. Kwame Nkrumah. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by: Get over colonialism now. It's irresponsible messages like these that frighten foreign investors away from Africa. Colonialism died off decades ago. Why are you still talking about this? Absolutely. As Thomas Sankara said, debt is a cleverly managed reconquest of Africa. This is all managed through ratings agencies, who have much more say in the decisions a government takes than the citizens of the country. Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. You must write notes on this question. It's easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of capitalism. Mark Fisher. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by: Who cares? This is what comes from a world population that believes that the path to enlightenment is Twitter. Capitalism is absolutely the only viable economic system, so yes, this is true and right. I had never thought of this, but as unreasonable as this might sound, it is actually so true. I think that we need to work on our imagination then, because this is clearly absurd. Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. The wealth of the few depends upon the poverty of many. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by: So long as I am amongst the few, I don't care. This is just not true. The rich are simply more diligent, intelligent, and above all frugal. This is just not true. If it were not for the generous wealthy, the poor would be even poorer than they are. This is absolutely true. There is only so much wealth in the world at any one moment, so if one person has more than their share, someone else has to have less than their share. This is absolutely true, and given how much poverty there is, we ought to do something about it. Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. I didn't join the struggle to be poor. Smuts Nyonyama. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by: Me neither. No one joins the struggle to be poor. It is this sort of attitude that has led to widespread corruption. This is counter-revolutionary. You don't solve oppression by becoming an oppressor. Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. Even before COVID, 1 out of every 5 South Africans lived below the food poverty line. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by who cares? If population growth rates of the poor were not so high, they wouldn't be so poor. If they worked harder, they wouldn't be so poor. This is sad, but to be honest, it is not going to stop me from focusing on my own well-being first. I think that we must all strive to eliminate poverty together. Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. 60% of the world's cobalt is mined in the DRC. Significant amounts of this is mined under appalling conditions, often by child laborers. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by what's cobalt got to do with to me? The DRC is a long way from where I live, so I don't really care. This is just a fact of global supply chains and necessary for global economic growth, which is in everyone's best interest. I wonder who is profiting out of this. It breaks my heart to see children exploited. This is morally wrong and must not be allowed. Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. Of the top 10 wealthiest people, all men, 7 are tech billionaires. Their net worth is $847 billion or ZAR 13 trillion. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by I think that such wealth is utterly immoral when there is so much poverty and suffering in the world, and so active steps should be taken to correct this. These billionaires are all tech visionaries and deserve every cent of their wealth because of their brilliance. Why would anyone want or need that amount of money? These are my heroes. I aspire to be like them. Bill Gates is one of them, and look at how much money he is giving to the poor through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. In order to have the continued opportunity to express their generosity, the oppressors must perpetuate injustice as well. Paulo Freire. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by this is crazy commie nonsense from Freire. It's a disgrace that UNISA allows this rubbish to appear in its official study material. This is rubbish. If it were not for the essential goodness of the wealthy, the lives of the poor would be so much worse than they already are. So let me get this straight. Freire is saying that in order for some to continue being generous, like Bill Gates, wealth and poverty need to be sustained? I'm going to have to think about this. Freire is absolutely right. All this generosity just makes rich people look like the heroes when actually they are the villains. How can you possibly say something as ungrateful as option D? Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. Show me a great fortune and I'll show you a great crime. A translation from Honoré de Balzac. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by clearly Balzac had taken too much hashish when he wrote that. It is completely possible to make a fortune by legal means. In fact, this is what I intend to do in my life. I don't care. Watch out, Elon Musk, here I come. I think that this is absolutely true. Even if great fortunes are acquired in a technically legal way, they are always morally problematic. Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. It is estimated that humans are consuming natural resource at a rate that is 30% above the renewal rate. If we continue to consume in this way, we are likely to suffer dire consequences, which could include extinction. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by: yes, we are consuming natural resources too fast, but I don't think this is a problem, as there is plenty of time to find technological solutions to problems that emerge. Yes, we are consuming natural resources too fast. The first priority in solving this is to put the brakes on human population growth. Yes, we are consuming natural resources too fast. The first priority in solving this is for rich people to reduce their consumption significantly. Yes, we are consuming natural resources too fast. And frankly, I don't see any solution, because increasing consumption is the basis of our economic growth. I don't believe this tale of doom. Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes.
Imagine you find out that some students get together, buy good assignments from previous years and submit them as their own. My personal opinion about this practice is most closely described by:
I have heard that UNISA might be using sophisticated plagiarism detecting software like Turnitin, and, if this is the case, the chances of getting caught are just too great. I don't want to get into trouble.
Not only will I participate, I am going to be the one who sells assignments next year for cash. I am not sure what the rules say, but if this is against the rules, I won't do it. I am not sure what is the right thing to do here or what is expected of me now that I know this. The problem with cheating is that it undermines everyone's qualification, not just those who are participating. Someone needs to report this, because it is intellectual fraud, and that someone is going to be me.
Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. It's a fact. You cannot expect to have economic growth when there is the threat of expropriation without compensation. Van der Merwe. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by: obviously. I don't know about economic growth, but those who wrote the Constitution of South Africa knew what they were doing, so private property is sacred and must be respected at all cost. The notion of private property is a Western individualist notion. You have to admit that the economies of the North grew very handsomely on the basis of expropriation without compensation? So this is not an immutable natural law. It's just how the rules are currently structured, right? Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. Every day some 20,000 children die prematurely from poverty-related causes, mostly treatable diseases. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by: who cares? It's hard to say it, but given the rising human population, perhaps this is a blessing in disguise for the human species as a whole. It's hard to say it, but this just means less people competing with me for scarce opportunities and resources. This is morally wrong, but practically, I think that it would cost too much money to solve. It is morally unacceptable for a single child to die of a preventable disease, and we should collectively fix this irrespective of the cost. Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. In the 2018/2019 financial year, Bob Van Dijk, the CEO of Naspers, earned a total remuneration, salary, incentives and options of over $1.9 billion. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by: good for him, he worked hard to earn this. The only problem I have with this is that this money is in Van Dijk's bank account and not in mine. No problem with this. I'm sure Van Dijk donates huge amounts to charity. I think that it is morally wrong for anyone to earn that much money. I think that active steps should be taken to correct such immoral executive remuneration practices. Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. Unless fossil fuel use slows dramatically, the Earth's average temperature could rise by 6 degrees Celsius in the next 100 years. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by "Who cares? I don't believe this climate change nonsense. 6 degrees will make winters much more bearable to me personally. I'm a bit concerned about this, but there is nothing that I can do about it. I'm a bit concerned about this, but why should I invest my personal time, effort, or money in solving a general social problem? I think that individually we can and should strive to solve this problem for the greater good." Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. If Arctic ice melting continues, we are likely to see the loss of 2/3 of the world's polar bear population within 50 years. My personal opinion on this statement is most closely described by "Why should we worry? If it boils down to choosing between driving a luxury SUV and worrying about polar bears, I'll take the car any day." While this is sad, polar bears aren't really very important to my personal welfare, which is my primary concern. While this is sad, polar bears aren't really very important to general human social welfare. I don't think polar bears are all that important to human welfare. However, their plight is a symptom of climate change, which is a big problem to future human welfare. I think it is morally unacceptable for humans to put their interests ahead of the rights of other species like polar bears. Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes.
Austerity. The billionaires in business have convinced the millionaires in government that the working poor are the root cause of all problems. My personal opinion of what should be done is most closely described by, as Julius Malema says, bloody agents. And then the Houses of Parliament get burned down because the root cause of all problems was solved by the millionaires in government, retrenching security guards. And then the billionaires in business declare the millionaires in government incompetent when the Houses of Parliament get burned down. This is typical labor union claptrap. As Bill Gates says, if you were born poor, it's not your mistake. But if you die poor, it's your mistake.
Choice now. Choice in Assignment 1. Notes. Summary. Number unchanged. Insert number of questions where the answers were the same here. Number changed. Insert number of questions where the answers were different here. Conclusion. To conclude, looking at the preceding sections of this portfolio, the most important things which I learned in this module were: complete this in a few paragraphs. NB, this should be the most substantial comment in this portfolio and must give us a clear indication whether you have thought deeply about this module. It should be at least 500 words long.